Hola YouTube! Remember the simple guidelines to financial independence? Here's a reminder. Live simply and below your means. Stay out of debt. Save and invest the rest. Do this consistently for years and you will be on your way to financial independence. I think the second guideline, stay out of debt, is a pretty important one. Being in debt is like being a slave. Let's go through some example and scenarios why borrowing money and being in debt is a bad idea. No, for real, it's really a bad idea. So here are some examples why borrowing money or being in debt is a bad idea. Before going to the examples and scenarios, there may be circumstances that you cannot avoid borrowing money. If you really have to borrow some money, make sure it is for a need and not a want, and know the difference. And here's what to know when you do borrow some money. Our first example is 5/6 peer-to-peer lending. This is pretty popular now when you're in money and you borrow through 5/6. But first and foremost, 5/6 lending usually operates with no collateral involved. This means it's a risk for the lending not getting paid, which then equates to an higher interest rate. 5/6 is effectively a 20% rate or higher, depending upon the loan duration. Okay, let's say you borrowed 1,000 pesos at 20% rate. With that said, you have to pay back 1,200 pesos. In this scenario, you pay 200 pesos in interest. Is that worth it? You ask me now. Okay, now what if you borrowed 10,000 pesos at 20% rate? How much do you have to pay? You ask? That's a whopping 12,000 pesos, but you only borrowed 10,000, right? That's 2,000 pesos just for interest. Again, is it worth it? Okay, now let's go to scenario where you are not able to fully pay that loan plus interest within the loan duration, right? So for example, in that 10,000 pesos that you owe, and you were only able to pay 5,000 for that specific loan duration. Now, what's gonna happen is an additional 2,000 interest will be added to the amount you owe, which effectively adjusting the money you owe to back to 7,000 pesos. Wow. Let's say, for the sake of argument at that point, is you technically will pay 14,000 pesos for the 10,000 pesos that you borrowed. That's 4,000 in interest. Now, at this specific point, that's the time you start becoming a slave to the money you borrowed, or to the people or person you borrowed this money. You're technically working for the interest and not even the principal amount you borrowed. See, at this specific point, you really have to think hard about borrowing money because of the interest. All right, let's go to one of the evolving popular app borrowing app in the Philippines. I think it's one of them at this specific point is Tala app, right? So if you go to Tala app, right? So Philippines, make sure you go to FAQ. So these are FAQ page, and this is specifically for their interest rate. Right. So now, as you see, for a 30-day term, they got. Oh no, sorry, that's for a 21-day term. Their interest rate is 11.4% to 13.3%. That's an interest in 21 days. That's a bit lower compared to a 5/6 peer-to-peer lending, but that's still pretty big if you ask me. Now for 30 days, so it's a bit closer to 5-6 peer-to-peer lending. It's about 15.2% to 17.1%, right? Still pretty big. These are example. If you think about it, that's an APR of 185% to 208%. APR for a year is 185%. Wow. And this is one of the example, right? So for a 30-day loan, borrowing 1,000 pesos, your service fee will be 152, 171. That's about 29 pesos less than a 5-6, right? So, and you still have to pay taxes. So, tax will be 8.9. Now, because this is government regulated, now you got to pay the government for the taxes. And, you know, your total amount due after service fee and taxes could be from 1,160 to 1,180 pesos. Okay, so either way you go, since borrowing money, loans, it's a big business, and this is how they earn their money, right? Through interest rates. So still, you're paying an extra 180 pesos for 1,000 pesos you borrow. Again, is that worth it? So one thing to consider is if you're not able to pay that in full within your loan duration, it's this specific scenario we're looking at is it's a 30-day loan. You have to pay an extra late fee of 8%, whatever is the remaining balance on your loan. That's still, ouch. So is it worth it? Think about it again. Do you really need to? Or no, we just want. Between need and a want. So what do you think? Is it worth borrowing money with high interest? If you ask me, no. But then again, there are scenarios that some of us, that's the only options we have. But be very careful when you borrow money. Make sure you pay it on time. It doesn't matter if it's credit card debt, 5-6, borrowing from friends and family, app loans, or evolving peer-to-peer application in the web. When the interest rate or effective interest rate monthly is more than 10%, be very careful about it. Even anything that's over 7%, that's a high interest rate. So again, remember, simple guidelines to financial independence. Live your life simply, below your means, stay out of debt, save and invest the rest. Again, if you're new to this channel, my name is Sam Kama, recording from my shoebox in downtown Detroit. If you like this video, then like it. If this helps you, then subscribe to my channel. Till next time, thank you.